Hello everyone, and today we are going to start a brand new series on a feature engineering. So this is a first lesson in a feature engineering series, and in this video we are going to discuss about the missing values and its mechanism. So actually basically we will be discussing here a Titanic dataset and how these values are missing in a Titanic dataset. If you have done machine learning analysis, a dataset analysis in your machine learning course or a project, then you might have encountered with a lot of missing values. But actually, do you know how these missing values, how these values are missing? What is the reason behind these missing values? And have you ever done any analysis on these missing values? So if you have not done any analysis on these missing values, so this is the perfect lesson for you. Today we are going to discuss about how you can do analysis for those missing values in a Titanic dataset, and another one is the housing loan dataset. Alright, so the first of all you might ask a question that what are these missing values? These missing data or missing values occurs when no data or no values is stored in your data, and the data you collect from various sources. So basically what happens, either you forget about to collect the data, or after collecting the data you find that this data is not you found that this data is wrong, so you had to discard that data. So these could be many ways, or these could be the many ways to get these data as a missing. So basically these are the 3 points why these data are missing. A value or a data, you can say a value or a data in a data set is missing because it was forgotten, lost, or not stored properly. And the second way, for a certain observation the value does not exist. And the third way, the value cannot be known. That means these values are unidentified or values are unknown. So these could be the reason why this data is missing in a particular data set. In many organizations, information or this data is collected into a form by asking a question from a person or a client, either on site or via on phone. And another way to get these data by filling a form. So what happens sometime if you don't make the data or question compulsory, so people do not answer to those questions. So in that way, when you analyze all the data, then those data get missed at the final point. There are other cases where the values for a certain variable does not exist. For example, in the variable total debt as a percentage of the total income. So very common in the financial data. If person has no income, then the total percentage of if person do not have any income, then of course the total percentage will be 0 there. So in that case the data does not exist. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to understand what are the missing data mechanism. So missing data mechanism are missing completely at random. So missing completely at random, it is a variable which is missing completely at random. If the probability of being missing is the same for all the observations, then you can say that the data is missing randomly. That means there is no pattern found in the data set which is missing. And there is another one is missing at random. So missing at random occurs when there is a relationship between the propensity of missing values and the observed data. So in other words, you can say the probability of an observation being missing depends on available information. That means other variable in the dataset. And the another one is missing, not a random. Alright, that's mean this one is saying that missing data is not at a random. That's mean when there is a mechanism or a region why missing values are introduced in the data set. That's mean these values are missing, but these are not random. For example, missing not a random would occur if a people fail to fill in a depression survey because of their level of depression. Alright. So in the video, we are going to discuss about how to detect and quantify missing values and try to identify the 3 different mechanisms of missing data. Alright. So let's go ahead and get started with this lesson. So the first of all, we are going to use some of these Python packages and the libraries. We are going to use here a pandas, numpy, and pyplot from the matplotlib. Let's go ahead and import these necessary Python packages. So first of all, import pandas as pd. Thereafter, import numpy as np. And then import matplotlib.pyplot as a plt. Thereafter, you have to write here matplotlib inline. Alright, so then you execute this cell. This cell is executed here successfully. Let's go ahead. First of all, load the Titanic dataset. Alright, so where is Titanic dataset? You can get this dataset from my GitHub repository here. Alright, feature engineering for machine learning dataset. And in that, I have here this Titanic.csv dataset. Click on that one. Thereafter, you will get this complete Titanic dataset. Thereafter, you need to click on this raw, and then you will get the CSV dataset. Now let's go ahead and copy this one. All right. Thereafter, we are going to read this dataset here. So the data is equal to pd.read_csv, and there I'm going to pass this URL. Thereafter, you can see it in the data.head. All right. There you get it. So the data is downloaded from there, and it says that we have these columns in the data like a passenger ID, surname, sex, age, sibling, and sibling and spouse, and then there is parents and child, the ticket number, fare, cabin, and embarked. So these are the data. Now how do you know that how many values are missing here? So there is a very simple way to know that how many values are missing there. You can simply write there data dot is null. Thereafter, there is a sum. All right. So it says that there are 177 data points are missing in age column, and 687 values are missing in a cabin column, and 2 values are missing in embarked column. All right. So this is the one way to get the how many values are missing. So these are the numerical representation. Let's say if you want to get what is the percentage of missing values. All right. The fraction of these missing values, you can simply use here mean method. So how you can use this mean method? It's really simple. Data dot is null. Thereafter, we are going to use here mean instead of sum. All right. So if you use mean, you will get that 20% of age data is missing and 77% of a cabin data is missing, and less than 1%, in fact less than it's 0.22%. All right, so it's 0.22%, less than 1% of a embarked data is missing. All right, perfect. So this is how you can get with the percentage, and there is the numerical representation. Let's go ahead and learn about the MNAR. All right, so this one is missing data but not random. All right, so this one is the missing data not random. You can say like this one, missing data not random. All right, that's mean it is saying that data is missing, but the probability or the distribution of missing data is not random. All right, perfect. So in the Titanic dataset, which we had seen previously, age and cabin dataset, age and cabin column is having the most of the data missing there. All right, so these age and cabin missing data were introduced systematically. The reason why I'm saying that these data are introduced systematically, because if a person was alive, those who had survived, I mean those who were boarded on the Titanic ship, so those might have told that what was their cabin and what is their current age, or you can say what was their age at the time they boarded the Titanic ship. All right, so in this way, what is happening here, what I'm trying to say here is that the more missing values for dead people and less missing for alive. So the reason why, I'll show you with the analysis, you will find that the more people, the data is missing for those who had died in that tragedy, and we will be having less percentage of missing data in those data set who had survived that crash. So let's go ahead and do that analysis. So first of all, I'm going to do this cabin analysis. All right, so for that one, I'm going to say here this data, thereafter cabin underscore null is equal to np dot where. So this np dot where, I'm using this because I'm going to find here I'm going to find here a particular condition. So the condition is np dot where data cabin. All right, so it is saying that find all those rows where this one is null. If it is null, then fill 1, otherwise fill 0. All right, thereafter, if you analyze here this cabin underscore null, sorry, this should be null dot head, so you will see there a first 5 rows of cabin, all right, of cabin null data. So it says that, okay, these are the actually, otherwise I can do one more thing here like this one. All right, so it says that you get there cabin null, that's mean yes, it is null, and yes, it's null there and it's null there. All right, now we have got here, if cabin is missing, that's the 1, if it is not, then the 0. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get the percentage based on the survived 0 and 1. All right, superb. So let's go ahead and do here a group by. So the data dot group by. So there I'm going to say here data dot group by, and in this I'm gonna do here group by survived column. Thereafter I'm gonna say here this cabin underscore null. Then we have here a mean values. So in this, what we are going to get here, in this we see there the people who could not survive, 87% of cabin information is missing in those people who could not survive. And only 60% of the data is missing who had survived. So that is why I was telling that it was introduced systematically. Alright? Perfect. Now, so this is how we can do this the cabin column analysis. Now we are going to do here the age column analysis. And I'm going to perform here another way to do in a simplest form. Instead of writing these 2 lines of the code, I'm going to do this in a simple format. So the data.age. Alright, so we have this data.age, and then we are saying that is null. That's mean if this data, I mean if the data is null in an age column, then it will print there false, false or true. So we have got this one. Thereafter I'm gonna do here a group by. Alright, so there is group by, and in the group by I'm gonna do here this survived. Alright, thereafter there is mean. So in this way, what we get here, we get that the people who had died, for those we have 22%, or you can say approximately the 23% the data is missing for age column. But for the people who had survived that crash, only the 15% of the data is missing for those. So what do you get to know with these information? With this information, you get to know that how you can analyze missing data in a particular data set. Alright, so we have analyzed here missing data, not a random. Alright, now we are going to analyze the missing data completely at random. Alright. So here what we get there, we have data, and then we have this embarked. Alright, so this embarked is having only 2 rows missing. So this one is an example of missing completely at random, because here we were getting a pattern. The pattern was the more data was missing for those people who had survived, and less data was missing for those more data was missing for those who could not survive, and less data was missing for those who had survived the crash. But this one is an example of this embarked is an example of missing completely at random. So what I'm saying here, this one is missing data completely at random. Alright, perfect. Now if you say there a mean, so you will of course get there how much or the percentage of the data is missing as a random. So it says that less than 1% of the data is missing there. Alright, perfect. Now if you see whole data set where it was missing, so you can say something like this. Alright, so it says that these are the only 2 rows which have a missing embarked column. All right. And in that, these are the none. So these are the less data, and these could be completely at random. And I don't find any pattern here. Although it says that this data is missing with these survived people. All right. So you may say that why they did not ask this information from these people. They might have asked, but this data is missing. All right. So why I told you that this one is missing but not random? Because for those people who had survived the crash, they could have asked this information. All right. And this information could have filled there. And for those people who had died, and for those people, this data could not have been filled. But here in this case, this data can be completely filled with those people who had survived the crash. But still these data are missing. That's mean these are completely at random. There could be any reason why these data are missing. All right. Perfect. Superb. So this is all about in this lesson. Thanks a lot for watching it. And I'll see you next lesson, where I'll take another very interesting video on feature engineering series. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.